So I started to teach theatre when I was myself 18. I was called to do a little workshop with YPS school back in 2003. And I did the workshop, the school really liked it. Then they asked me to do their play, a little play. I did that, the principal really liked it. And then they gave me their annual play to direct. So I was only 19 and I was directing their play with 150 students with YPS back in 2004-05. We did a play called Tinderbox. So before that, I was myself a child actor. I used to act in a lot of plays here in Punjab as a child actor. So there, because I liked it a lot, the experience, so I started to direct and I started to work with children. It wasn't a choice, it just happened by chance. So 2005 to 2010, I directed all the plays for YPS school. Then they also created this post of theatre teacher. So there, then I joined as a theatre teacher. I started to develop, a curriculum that what should we do with children in theatre. And so it went on till 2010. After that, I went to Bombay. I stayed there for 7-8 months, came back. And in 2012, we started the academy here. In March this year, we completed 10 years. And we can proudly say that we are the only theatre academy in North India that holds regular theatre classes. Usually, it's just the workshops and summer camps or the winter camps that happen. But here, since 2012, till now, 2022, we have been regularly holding theatre classes for children for 8 years till 32, 33, 34 years, because our elder batch has adults 18 to 33. That's where we do the professional theatre, Ayn Rand or Agatha Christie or Arthur Miller, professional theatre. Then with the younger lot, we do other plays. Like with the youngest lot, we done plays like Oliver Twist, The Blue Umbrella was the last play, and all of that. So now what used to happen initially was that we just had senior batches, class 4 and above or 3 and above, that used to do plays and all. And we always had this thing that, people would want their child to come and learn here, but we never had seats. So then we also started the non-production batches. Like the youngest batch, and most of you are, have sent the kids, is class 2 to class 4. That is not a production-oriented batch. Now, what happened with production-oriented batch was, for 9 months, we would just do the curriculum, which I'll discuss with you now. And 3 months would be for the production, where the scripts would come and the characters would come and all of that, and then they'd perform a play. So our Tuesday batch and Thursday batch is non-production oriented. Our senior batch is production-oriented batch that is going to perform a play at the end of the year. So curriculum, what we do is, our focus is to work on 2 things parallel. One is the physical aspect of their personality. Now when I say personality, it's for the personality also and it's for acting also. Starting from the voice, how the breath becomes the voice. A lot of people just straight away start to work on the voice, but the fact is that the grounding is in breathing. It's the breath that is becoming the voice. And the whole technique of how to use the breath well to speak well, how to breathe well to speak well. So once they learn the physiology of voice, that how their breath is going inside, how the diaphragm is going down, and then how they are pushing the diaphragm up, and then the friction is happening here and the voice is being created, and how the voice is getting resonated from different places like the head or the chest or the mouth. So the whole this process they understand. Of course, with the very junior kids, we don't get into too much of technicality, but at least they get the awareness that yes, it's my breath that is becoming my voice. So that means I need to breathe well to speak well. Then the other things come in dialogue delivery, in speaking. What is the use of a pause? What is the pace? How in different moods the pace of the speech varies. How in anger you speak very fast. How when you're in a lot of love in your heart, how you speak slow, then the pace goes slow. Emphasis, where all do you emphasize, where all do you stress? How do you pause then go fast? All these things, which are there in speech. So those speech dynamics they understand. Again, the levels vary. With the senior students, we go into details. We actually tell them technically. They actually make graphs of speech. We give them a dialogue. This is about the senior group. We give them a long dialogue, Then what they do is they actually decipher, they deconstruct that how the character would go fast here, would pause here, then would speak 3 words with high volume, and then would pause again, then low volume. This way they understand the whole dynamics of speech. Then when they watch films or they watch television, or even when they see people in real life, hear people in real life, they are aware that how the speech is working. And then we do a lot of work on the facial muscles. There are 42 muscles on the face. Some of the students are naturally, they use the muscles a lot. Their faces are very expressive. Some of them don't. Their faces are a little hard. You'll see that their expression won't change much. Or they would change at home but not change much in the public. Their muscles would become hard. But that can be practiced. So we have a lot of exercises and games in which they start to practice moving these muscles on the face. And then we move on to expressions. Once their muscles are worked upon, once they start to move the muscles, then we go on to expression, that how in anger, what the muscles do, how the muscles contract, how the muscles expand, all of that we do. And then we come on to the eyes. We give a lot of focus on the eyes. Again, eyes, some of the children, they have naturally very expressive eyes. You see the face, you see the eyes, and you know what the child is thinking or what is the child trying to express. But some of them, again, their eyes are not that, expressive naturally. So there are a lot of processes of working on the eyes as well. We have, exercises in which they'll develop control. They can actually at will activate the tear glands, actually hold the gaze, energize the gaze, change the expression just in the eyes, not the rest of the face, just the eyes. Like if you would see cinema acting is all eyes, and you would see how the actors are changing the emotions subtly, and it's just the eyes that are doing its job. Otherwise, also in communication, it's the eyes that communicate. Even while I'm talking to you guys, most of you are focusing on my eyes, and you're trying to gauge what I'm trying to say, what is the emotion of what I'm trying to say. So we develop the control over the muscles on the eyes. And we give a lot of focus on eyes, because that is where the communication lies. Not only the formal communication when they go on stage and speak, otherwise also in, the idea is they should start to express themselves. And expression comes through speech, yes, but it comes through eyes a lot. So there is a lot of focus on the eyes. Then we work on the breath and emotion, how the breathing and emotion are connected, how in different emotions the breath changes. In fear, the breath is different. In anger, the breath is different. In happiness, the breath is different. When you're peaceful, the breath is different. When you're restless, the breath is different. So again, with the senior students, we really go into the depth and get into the patterns of breath. We make them understand, like with the senior students that we are doing in the last 2 months, where they're understanding what is the fear breath, how the breath hits the back of the throat in fear, and in happiness, how the breath goes through the tongue and all of that. And with juniors also, we do, not in detail, but we make them aware how their breath changes in different emotions. So we do a lot of work of breath and emotion. Expression through body. There are a whole lot of movement exercises we do. The students who came today, some of you, your kids might have come today. We started with ice-breaking exercises, and we did a lot of expression through body, through movement. Because some of them are so stiff in their body as well. They are not naturally, they don't gesture much. They don't move much. They walk very stiffly. So we work in breaking that, that tightness of the body. Again, that is also where expression gets blocked. So there, when they move their bodies, when they do movements, open movements in this space, it really starts to, you start to see the change. And theatre is a very gradual process. It's not in 2 months you see, oh, this is, it takes time, but it's very, very effective You know, if at this age, if they're even getting to know a thing like eye muscles, or facial muscles, or speech muscles, or breath and emotion, or using the movement, moving in the space, it slowly starts to, show effect. It's a gradual process where you start to see the change, and there definitely just change comes. One of the gentlemen came and told me right now that the son doesn't talk much and doesn't open up much. All of that also happens. But we do that not by force. We respect the individuality of a child. If a child doesn't want to speak much, that's fine, that's his personality. But we slowly start to open that child up so that at least he or she should come to a functional level. That it should not be, something that blocks his or her progress. But at the same time, we also respect the fact that every child is different. I've seen some genius minds who won't talk much. That's okay, that's there. Or they will be very selective. But that's fine, that's their personality. But we take them to a level where at least it doesn't block the functionality. And then from this age only, we give a lot of emphasis on increasing their awareness of the senses. This is the exercise which we were doing with this batch that you just saw going today, is building the awareness and experience of the senses, because that is what they use in art. Be it writing, be it acting, be it even painting, they use the experience of their senses, the memory of the senses, the sense of sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch. Like yesterday with the batch, we did this exercise where we put a blindfold, we divided the class into half, we put a blindfold, and I took them to this large field. This is what we did with the Vivek batch. And everybody was associated a sound. And it's a large ground, and they had to hear their sound and run towards them. And they did a lot of movement running towards the sound, that is their sound. And then the partner took them to the whole campus where they made them experience different senses, made them experience grass, different flowers, touch different surfaces, the rough surface, soft surface, made them hear different sounds, even made them taste a few things. You know, they had got a lot of things from home, and they would just put a thing in their mind, and they were blindfolded for 1 hour. For 1 hour, they did not see, but they were focusing on the rest of their senses. Now what is writing? When a writer writes, he is recreating the whole experience by using the sensory memory. Sound of rain, or the taste of coffee, or the sight of the steam coming out of coffee, or the tapping of the footsteps on the wooden floor. He's playing with your senses. And again, theatre, it's not a subject, or it's not a process where you see कि उसने कितने tables सीख लिए हैं multiply करने वाले, or all of that. It's a very gradual process, and it's a very subtle process. So that's why I wanted you to come here and understand that it's a very subtle process. It's very intangible. There's no tangibility to it. It takes time, but it works wonders. I have seen lives changing. One of the students, he had a problem, Asperger's, and with the permission of the doctor, he was sent here for the classes. He improved so much, just because this is not the cognitive development that's happening, it's sensory development that we are doing. That child, operated lights in one of our plays. Now he's been selected to a very good university abroad. So it is that kind of, space. And then it's as I told you, that their bodies open up, their eyes open up. And also what happens is that a lot of them have a lot of bottled up emotions, and they don't know how to express. A lot of time we say, oh, he is a troubled child, or she is a troubled child, all of that. It is just, there are emotions that are bottled up and they don't know how to get them out. This is the best space for that. I'll tell you now the backbone of theatre classes that I think sums up theatre classes, that is improvisation. Now, whatever I discussed with you about the eyes, about the facial muscles, about the voice and all of that, senses, what they do is they put it in use in improvisations. Suppose today I did the lesson of eyes and gaze and did the exercise of not blinking their eyes for a long time and then, moving the eyeballs in different directions and not blinking, all of that. And now their eyes have energized. Then groups are formed, right? There are 4 groups or 5 groups, and I just give them a title. I say, your title is the knock on the door. What they do is they build a story, create a story, go on stage, focus that their eyes should be very expressive because that's the subject that's going on, and then they just act without any script, without it, they just form a story verbally. Okay, this is what we'll do, and they just act. And what that does is a lot of time I see a lot of emotions, unplanned emotions come out of them on the stage. A lot of time anger comes, a lot of time fear comes, a lot of time love comes, a lot of time other emotions come. And where is it coming from? From the subconscious. I have goosebumps right now. From the subconscious. So all those emotions that are blocked in them, they move in this space, they come out in this space. And this is the best and the safest atmosphere to express those emotions. There's doing a scene where the other is beating up the other person. It's just the anger that is bottled up, or a fear that is bottled up. It flows. It flows in a very safe space. Mishika did beautiful improvisations the other day, and sometimes even they don't get to know how did we do it. It just happens because the emotions which were there in their minds and bodies bottled up, they just come out. That's why I regard this space as a very healing space as well. I've had where children, some of them maybe come through some traumas also, all sort of situations, and this is the space that heals them. One is that the bottled up emotions come out, and the second is that even if they show a little bit of something, we encourage them so much, motivate them so much, and the child thinks, oh, I'm being motivated, did I do something good? And because there is no script involved in improvisation, it is just they're moving, they're saying. The dialogue is spoken, he responds, she responds, action, reaction, and in that action, reaction, a lot of lines come which they don't even know. Usually what we do in schools when we give them scripts, learn the dialogue, they get fearful. I won't name the child, but one of the children in the senior batch, he didn't say a word for the first three classes. And now he goes and speaks dialogues, and I feel so happy. And this is what we are trying to do in this space. Putting those seeds where these faculties are growing, the physical faculties, eyes, facial muscles, speech, sensory experiences, and where their confidence is growing this way, that they feel accepted, they feel encouraged, and then they move wildly, all their energies move here. So that is what we do. So all of that I talked about, it also fires their creativity and imagination. You sit together and you form a story and you go and perform a story, you start to think differently. And because there is no structured script or anything, even with the production oriented batch, 9 months we pick up no script. It is just the last 3 months that the dialogues and all are, that also we improvise a lot of times. So creativity gets stimulated every day when they come here. Then of course concentration increases. We also do the process, some of you might be aware of this thing called Anapan meditation, where you have to just close your eyes and focus on the breath and try to come back to the breath. The thoughts come, you come back to the breath, the thoughts come, you come back to the breath again. We do that also a lot, and it helps in their concentration, increasing the concentration. So this is primarily what we do. Having said that, it takes time. It's not that, that in theatre you can't actually mark their, progress, exam and all of that. It's a subtle process. It's a slow process, but it's a very strong process. Theatre, if it's done well, if it's done the way it should be done with these children, it can do wonders. You need to meet some of our old students, they're doing so well, and theatre did play a huge part in their, journey. We did the Blue Umbrella in 2019, and that was done, in English and Hindi and Pahadi. We spoke a lot of Pahadi, in that play. I had a student of mine who is Pahadi, and he came here for their voice training, their speech training, and they speak Thet Pahadi, in that play. A year before that, we did Children of Heaven. That's a Iranian film by this wonderful Iranian film director Majid Majidi, and we adapted it for stage. And I have a friend who lives in Mashhad, Iran. So on the voice on the call, she gave them training of speaking Farsi. Did anyone watch that play here? You watched it? Ahana, of course, played the coach in that play. And if you would see, they spoke that Farsi, like Farsi. Not even, I mean, then we go a lot into the accents also. In Pahadi, they spoke Pahadi. Nahi aadi hai, ali ta audi mein. Typical Pahadi.
I remember saying Pajija.
Yeah, Pajija, Baija, yeah, all of that. Minjo, Tijjo, Ahada, Tuhada, all of that, yeah. And even in, Farsi, they spoke Farsi. Fazuli na khan, Saret Khadaret, Khordat Bashe, all of that. Of course, not a lot of it, the audience won't have understood, but we had one-liners. But Pahadi, we had a lot of it because it's very near to Punjabi. And the audience enjoyed it, they understood it. And then, of course, when the production starts, then the other things about the characterization, voice modulation according to the character, the walk according to the character, blocking, the use of props, how the actors take their props. In the fade out, they have 10 seconds, they have to change the scene props, all that. All of that is also there. There are a whole lot of things. But my focus is this, because this is the more important part. Productions happen, they happen well. People come and appreciate the plays and all of that. But for us, those first 9 months, when the curriculum is on, that is important, because that is not, we have no way of presenting it, because play is not the exhibition of what we do in the classes. We do much, much more. Play is 10-15% of what we do, because there you just perform. But here, if a child was having bad days for a few days and comes here in this space and lets his emotions move, that's where we think that, okay, we are doing a job. We are, and yeah, you see the changes, but you see them slowly.